The soldier on the midnight train. It began on a night so ordinary that no one could have guessed how it would end. The Midnight Express, train 417, snaked its way through the cold mountain pass between Zurich and Lyon. Outside, snow fell like powdered glass, brushing against the windows in silver whispers. Inside, warmth and comfort. Passengers dozed, couples whispered, and the rhythmic clatter of wheels lulled everyone into half-sleep. But somewhere in the dark, fate was waiting. At exactly 12:47 a.m., a radio operator at a distant signal station noticed something strange. Train 417 hadn't slowed down for the next curve. The line ahead dipped into a sharp mountain bend, one that required precision and reduced speed. At 90 miles per hour, the train was racing toward disaster. Back inside the train, in carriage 8, a woman sat alone by the window, her gaze lost in the snowstorm. Her name was Sergeant Maya Collins, 33 years old, a decorated Army engineer from the British Armed Forces. She had spent 10 years defusing explosives, building bridges in war zones, and saving lives under fire. But tonight she was just another traveler, exhausted, silent, carrying invisible scars from years she wished to forget. Her transfer papers lay folded in her backpack. She had resigned her commission 2 weeks ago. The uniform that once made her proud now only reminded her of friends she couldn't save, and missions that still haunted her dreams. But destiny doesn't wait for those who are done fighting. A sudden jolt rattled the train. Cups fell, a baby cried, and the lights flickered. The air filled with uneasy murmurs. Then, from the front car came a frantic shout, "The brakes! They're not responding!" Passengers gasped. Someone screamed. The conductor ran past, his face pale as chalk, clutching the emergency radio. "Brake failure! Total brake failure!" he yelled, sprinting toward the front. Maya's training kicked in instantly. Her body moved before her mind caught up. She leapt from her seat, heart pounding. "Where's the control cabin?" she demanded. "Up front. 2 cars down," someone shouted. Without hesitation, she pushed through the narrow aisle. People were crying, praying, clutching one another. The train shook violently as it sped through the snowstorm, sparks bursting from the wheels. When she reached the cabin, chaos reigned. The engineer was slumped over the console, unconscious, a trickle of blood on his temple. The assistant operator was shouting into a dead radio, panic in his eyes. Maya took one look and understood everything. The hydraulic brake system had failed. The backup controls weren't engaging. They were heading downhill, at increasing speed, toward a curve that could derail the entire train into a frozen ravine. "Move!" she ordered, voice sharp and steady. The young operator blinked at her. "Who are you?" "Sergeant Maya Collins, Royal Engineers." "Let me take over." She knelt beside the fallen engineer, checked his pulse, alive but fading. Then she turned to the panel, scanning the gauges with practiced precision. Years of mechanical combat work rushed back into her memory. Main brake pressure 0. Hydraulic lines ruptured. Speed climbing. She muttered, half to herself, "You've got 10 minutes, Maya. 10 minutes to save 200 people." Outside, the snowstorm howled louder, as if mocking her. She grabbed the manual brake levers, tried to engage them. Nothing. Sparks flew. The steel screamed. "Pressure valves are dead," she hissed. "We'll burn out the motors if we keep forcing it." The assistant looked at her helplessly. "Then what do we do?" Maya's eyes darted to the rearview monitor. Passengers terrified, clutching one another, unaware that in less than 6 miles, the train would meet the curve that led to the ravine. Her jaw tightened. "We improvise." She pulled open a maintenance hatch beneath the console, crawling halfway under it. Her fingers worked fast, disconnecting wires, rerouting circuits. Years of field engineering under fire had trained her for moments just like this, impossible, deadly, desperate. Manual override engaged. She shouted, sparks flying past her face. "But it won't hold long." The assistant stared. "You're bleeding." Maya ignored him. Her hand was cut, but she didn't stop. "We need to slow her down before the turn. Shift power from the rear engines." He did as told. The sound of metal grinding against metal filled the cabin. The lights flickered again. 5 miles to the bend. Maya's mind ran through calculations faster than thought. The train weighed nearly 1,000 tons. At 80 miles an hour, any derailment meant instant death for everyone on board. If we can decouple the last 3 cars, she said, we'll lose weight, gain friction. The assistant froze. You mean, release passengers? She met his eyes. No. I'll do it manually. Lock the doors. Keep them calm. Before he could protest, she was already gone, fighting against the wind that howled through the narrow space between carriages. Snow slashed her face like shards of glass. The world around her blurred, white silver noise. She climbed down the side ladder, gripping the steel coupler. The metal burned through her gloves. Below her, the wheels screamed against the tracks. Come on, girl, she muttered through gritted teeth, you've faced worse than this. Her body trembled, but her will didn't break. One swift pull, then another, and the coupler released. Sparks exploded. The last cars slowed, separating from the rest of the train. Back in the cabin, the assistant watched the speed gauge, 85. 80. 75. Dropping. Maya pulled herself up, gasping, covered in snow and blood. She stumbled into the cabin again, grabbed the brake lever, and forced it down. Come on, you stubborn beast. Slow down. The mountain curve appeared ahead, glinting silver under moonlight. 70 miles per hour. 65. 60. The brakes screeched. The world tilted. Every passenger screamed as the train lurched sideways, metal shrieking in agony. Then, slowly, miraculously, it righted itself. The train shuddered, skidded, then finally ground to a halt. Silence. Snow fell softly against the windows. The only sound was the ticking of cooling metal. Maya's head dropped forward, chest heaving. Her hands shook. The assistant looked at her. Wide-eyed. You saved us. All of us. She didn't answer. Tears streamed down her cheeks, mingling with soot and blood. When she finally stood and walked back to the passenger cars, the people she had saved erupted in applause, cheers, sobs. Strangers hugged one another. A little girl ran up to her, eyes shining. Are you an angel? Maya knelt down, smiling faintly through tears. No, sweetheart. Just a soldier who didn't know how to give up. Later, when emergency crews arrived, they found her sitting by the track, watching the snow fall. Reporters would later call her the angel of the midnight train. But to Maya, it was never about heroism. It was about redemption. About facing fear when you've got nothing left to lose. And for those 200 souls who walked away from that frozen mountain alive, she wasn't just a soldier. She was the proof that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it just takes a single step forward when everyone else freezes in fear. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs a little hope tonight. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more cinematic stories that remind us of the extraordinary power of ordinary people.